Rev up your engines!
Ones that says, GM said I stole their car after they told me to take your time for a loaner. You know, you're not the only one. One of the viewers sent me an email from Michigan, and they said that they were looking to buy a car, and the guy said, okay, keep it overnight, go ahead. They have a knock on their door as the police talking about a stolen car. That was the one they had. And they told them, hey, keep it overnight, let your mechanic check it out. I don't know what's going on at GM. I think they've lost their marbles entirely. I have no idea what's going on. But anything that happens to them doesn't surprise me. They've made so many mistakes in the past, and they seem to continue to make them. Candy Kisses. Scotty, what's the biggest pile of crap you ever did buy? Well, all the cars I bought for myself for driving on, none of them were actually a pile of crap. I'd have to say the worst car I ever bought was a Chevy Vegas station wagon. But, and this is a gigantic but, I bought it for $1,000, and it had a brand new engine in it. The woman had it, the original owner, the engine blew. She sold it for $100 to a mechanic at a Chevy dealer. And it turns out that Chevrolet had so many of those aluminum blocks and cast iron heads, the aluminum blocks went bad on those Vegas, that they made thousands of replacement engines, and they had no numbers on them, and you were supposed to stamp them with the same number on yours when you swapped them out in the car. Well, this guy never stamped them because he obviously stole the engine from the dealer that he worked, put it in, he sold me the car for $1,000. It ran perfectly fine, but I mean, it was a pile of junk for the original owner. It went 50,000 miles and the engine blew up. So, I mean, I gotta say, that was a pile of junk. There's no if, ands, or but. But I also have to say, recently, just for a lark, I bought one of those Honda N600s, the first Honda car sold in the United States before the Civic. It's got a 592cc Honda motorcycle engine. I gotta say, it's a pile of junk. One, it's rusted, but two, you can't really get parts for that thing. I need an engine bad for it, and there are no engines. Now, I could always swap it with a motorcycle engine, go through all that stuff, but I wanted to keep it stock. So if anybody out there has got a good engine, I'll gladly pay a fair fee for the engine. The transmission I have, it's perfectly fine. It's a standard, but I need an engine for that thing because it's all messed up inside. It's a 1970 Honda N600. It's one of those 592cc two-cylinder engines for a car. Yes, there's Ed. Says, Scotty, is a 2014 Mazda 3 with an automatic transmission a good car? Depends on the transmission that's in it. And that year they put various different transmissions in. If it's the Jatco automatic, it's a pile of crap. Don't buy it. Some of those have Toyota Aisin transmission. If it does, it's excellent. I checked one out the other day. It had an Aisin transmission, and it worked perfectly fine, even though it had 145,000 miles on it. Get the VIN number. Find out exactly by calling the dealer. Say, what transmission do I have in the car with this VIN number? And they'll tell you. And if it's the Jatco, don't buy it. If it's the Aisin, could be a very good car because those are Toyota transmissions. Most of the new Mazdas either have their own Mazda that they're designing in conjunction with Toyota, or they have Toyota Aisin because they're making cars together in Alabama in the same factory. So they're a lot better than they used to be. Pinjati says, Scotty, hello from Montreal. I have a 2004 Saab 9.5 with AC leak and evaporator. What do you think of AC charge kit with a can of sealant? I read the sealant could damage the compressor. Well, you're from Montreal. What the heck do you need air conditioning for? It's freezing cold in the winter and the summer. It's not all that hot. I was there for months. It's a beautiful place, but it's mainly cool. I wouldn't even worry about it. But yes, I would never put sealer in those things because it's junk. Now, let's say the only thing you're going to do is try sealer. If it doesn't work, you're not going to fix it. What the heck? Try it. You're not using the AC compressor anyways. You've probably found out how much it costs to replace the evaporator in that car, and it costs a small fortune. So if you're not going to fix it otherwise, well, you might as well give it a try because you're not going to use it anyway. If you do put it in, take my advice. Put it in, let it idle for about 40 minutes with the AC on and the fans blowing so it doesn't overheat, and then drive it around for an hour or two so it goes through the system and doesn't sit and set up and knock the compressor out. That's what normally knocks it out. Idle it for a while, then drive it for a couple hours. That'll give it the least chance of any of the sealer locking up the compressor. CL says, Scotty, love the channel. How important is it to fix my AC compressor in my '02 Honda CR-V? How hot do you want to be? Your car likes running without the AC compressor. There's less strain. You realize an AC compressor sucks the hot air out of your car cabin where you're sitting and then blows it out of the AC condenser, which is in front of your car's radiator. So then the air that's supposed to cool your car's radiator has that extra heat going through it. Your car doesn't like that. Your car's probably totally happy. If you don't care, the car is going to be happy. You want to fix your AC, though. Let's say all the refrigerant leaked out. If you're planning on fixing it, fix it sooner than later because it's all leaked out. Air will intrude in the system. Air has moisture. Moisture destroys AC systems. Even a few thousand parts of water vapor will destroy your AC system and rust it up. So if it all leaked out, Yeah, my advice, fix it sooner than later if you want AC. If you don't, you can leave it alone, won't hurt anything. The two coolest toots, says Scotty, my friend, asked, why do you always have sunglasses on? Okay, there's giant stage lights flashing on my head. See my eyes now? That's the reflection of the giant lights. They're blaring in my face. There's 3 of them. It's like I'm on a movie set. Outside, hey, the sun gets in your eyes, but mainly I'm blind as a bat and I'm old. I look a lot better with sunglasses. It's just the way that it goes. And I'm getting new ones too because I'm getting older and I gotta make them even stronger so I can see better. Plus, I work on cars all the time. You want glasses if you work on cars all the time, even if it's just plain clean ones. You don't want to ruin your eyes. I've had mechanics that had flying shards get stuck in their eye. Some of them were blinded in one eye. Other ones got massive eye infections. It's a horrible thing to happen, so you want to wear some type of glasses when you're working on cars because it's dangerous. Kudo241 says, I got a whistly, squeaky noise at certain speeds on my Mazda 3 2016. When I accelerate, it makes the noise, or when I release it, the noise goes away. It only occurs when the engine is warm. All right, that's sort of typical of some type of internal minor flaw inside the engine because you're accelerating, you hear the noise. So check. You might take the plenum off, air hose that goes from the air filter to the engine, clean the throttle, could be there's some dirt or something in it, change your PCV valve, a bad PCV valve, whistle and do stuff like that. Now let's say it's coming from a different place. You were saying maybe it's coming from the differential, which is part of the transmission. That's pretty rare. But if you wanted to find that, just do my video, finding the source of car noise of Scotty. Then you get this listening devices or pay a mechanic with one, he puts them all over the place and you can pinpoint it by knowing, okay, it's right here. You get 4 sensors, and eventually you put the sensor right where the noise is, and you hear it the loudest, you know that's where it's coming from. If it's inside the transmission differential, live with it as long as it goes okay. Check the fluid level, make it full of fluid, but that you wouldn't want to mess with. But more often, a whistling sound's coming from air sucking in PCV valve, some kind of a problem on the intake system. Man, am I glad I don't live in California. There's a guy in California who went to take his road test to get his driver's license with a Tesla, and they failed him. The driver's inspector was kind of foolish about Teslas. If you've never driven one, when you take your foot off the gas, they automatically brake themselves to regenerate power. And the guy said, well, the car kept braking. He kept braking the car. Well, he didn't. When you take your foot off the gas, it brakes itself. You have to drive them a little bit differently. You want to slow down gradually. You keep your foot on the gas a little, because if you take it off, it starts regenerating electricity and brakes the car automatically. This one guy that failed his test because of that, he decided, oh, okay, I'll rent a car to take the test. So he rented a car to take the test, and the guy said, you can't take the test with a rental car. The bureaucrats have taken over the state of California. I mean, I'm glad I don't live in some place where the bureaucrats manage my everyday life all the time. Turns out something about insurance. You can't rent a car unless you have a driver's license. So legally, you're not allowed to drive the car because you don't have a driver's license. So legally, you can't take the test in it. So if you're in California, realize one thing. Don't rent a car to take your driver's license test, or they won't let you take the driver's test. Well, I'm glad I'm not living there. That's all I got to say. Great place to visit, but there's no way I'm ever going to live there. It is beautiful. With the bureaucrats taking over, whew, no wonder people are starting to leave California and going someplace else. Maybe it'll just end up with a bunch of bureaucrats, then they can bureaucratize themselves around and they'll all be happy with their little rules. I don't know. I'm not going to be one of them. Well, in a never-ending battle of pickup wars, the 775 horsepower Shelby F-150 now has more horsepower than the Ram TRX that has only 702 horsepower. Now, it's a 5-liter V8 with a supercharger, puts out 775 horsepower. And it does it on 93 octane gas, which is actually faster, 0 to 60, than the Lightning, than the electric Ford pickup. To give you more insane figures, it goes 0 to 100 and back in 8.3 seconds. 0 to 100, 100 to 0. It takes 8.3 seconds to do the whole thing. Of course, it's lowered, where the Ram TRX is not lowered. You wouldn't want to go too fast in that. Now, they're only going to make 300 of these things, so if you want one, you better hurry up and buy it. They start at $98,960, too. It's one expensive fast pickup. Chan Win says, how do you take care of car interiors? Okay, depends on the interior. If you got a cloth one, get some good cleaner. I find that Resolve stain cleaner works really good. If you have leather, it's a different ball game. First, you get a good leather cleaner. Then you get a supple conditioner. Then you get a good leather polish. And you do it right. Do it a couple times a year. It'll make leather last an awful lot longer. And of course, let's say you got the plastic seats. Well, there's all kinds of good plastic preservatives. I like Plexus, Plexus spray can. It's not cheap, but plastic headlight lenses, plastic taillight lenses, anything plastic, plastic seats, plastic dashes so they don't crack from the sun, and it really works. It's called Plexus. I haven't found anything better than that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.